Namaste everyone. I am Orgho from Moromia Spiritual Society. Welcome to our English channel Moromia English. Today is our ninth live episode and the name of today's session is Civilisational Conflict. Now we all know this Moromia is not a platform of just esoteric discussions. This is a place where we learn sadhana, where we do meditation, where we understand the concept of yoga, where we all together begin in an awakening process. So this is a place where all the queries, all the questions, all the greatest and deepest thirst of all the seekers are responded by our respected and beloved Jaideep Maharaj. Like the theme of today, the topic of today, that is the civilizational conflict or the crisis right now we are all facing. This is not a crisis that is happening in a distant place that we are not part of. This is happening every day with each one of us. We are all facing this crisis. Every day there is a new thing coming up. Someone is saying that we will nuke the Mars to create a versatile environment, a hostile environment. Someone is saying that we will make virtual kids. We will make a platform where the kids of the next generation will learn only virtual reality. So this is a question of existential question, a crisis of existence. So now these queries and this awakening should not be just kept to us. It should be shared worldwide. And thereby Moromia welcomes all the listeners, subscribers to share these sessions vehemently. And these sessions are so much important for everyone out there. Now I would like to call my fellow host, that is Devasista, in this platform. Devasista, please you can join.
নমস্কার অর্ঘ।
Namaste.
I'll welcome all the viewers of Moromia English. And as Orgo said, that really we are facing a crisis of civilization um due to the man versus machine. And today we'll have a detailed discussion on that. But before starting the topic, we are having some old queries that we'll ask Maharaj about the queries also. Then we'll come to our main discussion. And the viewers are again and again requested, humbly requested, that they should share and like our session more and more so that we can reach more people as much as possible. So today, without wasting time, I'll invite Maharaj in this program. Maharaj, please.
Thank you, Debashish and Orgo, and
Maharaj.
welcome to our ninth episode to all our viewers of Moromia English and Moromia Facebook page. And today, yes, as you have mentioned, we will discuss about the civilizational crisis or conflict, if there is any. So, without much more introduction, let's start.
Yes, Maharaj. Actually, previous session we discussed about role of guru in our life, and in that session we had several questions and several follow-up queries in that. First queries actually we have taken, which were asked by Enrico Tau, that he asked that it will be nice to listen about the responsibilities of a disciple. Actually, we discussed about the responsibility of gurus and the role of gurus in our life. But what about the part of the disciple? Actually, he wants to know about that thing. So, if you can please uh, quench his queries.
Yes. Thank you, Devashish. And I hope Enrico is here. I know from where that question is coming from. He has a lot of experience, and also through long years, we are also picking up experiences both in this country and also from abroad. And it is a very relevant question. Yes, as you have rightly pointed out, we always ask about the role of a guru, responsibility of a guru, whether a person is a fake guru or a genuine guru. So we have all these questions and doubts about guru, whether it is important to have a guru. So we are being judgmental constantly about gurus. We are not so judgmental about teachers, about doctors, about lawyers, about politicians, but we are more judgmental about this spiritual mentor or spiritual guide. Somehow we are very cynical about these things. But it is very important also to understand that Guru doesn't do any magic. It is through the relationship and through the intimacy between the Guru and the disciple that something develops, that a real spiritual life can blossom. It's not that the disciple remains in the same state and the guru does some kind of a magic with a touch or with a prayer or with a mantra, with a chanting, and then the disciple starts to experience some uh, wonderful darshans, for some wonderful visions, and some sensations, some feelings, some dreams. It's not like that. Though many of us would like to have it that way, but it is not like that. It's a long and a wonderful process by which the disciple goes through, and something he has to be aware of, and he has to do a lot of things. So we will try to first understand today what is the role of a disciple. It is very important to understand this. Before going into that, let me also state that for some Europeans, I think, who have not visited India, it is very difficult for them to understand the relationship between a guru and a disciple. It is a tradition steeped in our culture, and it is not a tradition which the Christians, the mainstream Christians, and the mainstream Muslims or other religions really follow with that kind of sacredness as it is done here in India. So, people who have come to this country, people who have visited these important pilgrimage centers like Haridwar, like Uttarkashi, like Rishikesh, like Varanasi, like different ashrams, both in the cross, south and north, everywhere. And they have a glimpse of this relationship and what it means to these people. And they people who are perceptive enough also realize the psychological impact of this kind of relationship. Another thing about this culture is that the way it is different from the Western culture is that we believe in long term relationships. If it is a question of a marriage, if it's a question of the bonding between brothers, between sisters, between children and their parents, the bonding in society, in spite of this delusion this deluge of the so-called Western values and Western education, which is also, of course, having an impact on, especially on our urban life. But at the same time, the seeds, the ingrained theme of our relationship, long-standing, and we culturally, it's very important also to understand that culturally, we do not believe in this one life theory. So the relationship between a guru and disciple is not the relationship of one life, is a relationship of lifetimes. This is something for very difficult for Europeans to understand. Even in a Hindu marriage, it is considered it is a partnership of at least 7 lifetimes. That is how the mantras and the chantings happen during a marriage, during a typical traditional Hindu marriage. So these kind of long standing relationships are ingrained, at least the belief in such relationships is very much ingrained in our civilizational memory, in our civilizational uh, lifestyle. So, for people who have come to this place and have seen these kind of relationships, they understand what a bit. about what I'm trying to say. And the third point is that if you think about the dharmic aspect of sadhana, the spiritual aspect of sadhana, the last barrier is the ego. And the ego has to be dissolved. And the ego can be dissolved only in surrender. And that surrender can happen to a person to whom we are completely committed, where our integrity is 100%, to a relationship which we could really consider to be sacred. See, there the surrender is possible. When the ego is completely gone in relation to that person, that is a very important aspect of sadhana. So, all these things, when you take into consideration all these things, from that perspective, you have to understand the responsibility of a disciple towards his guru. The relationship is not a one-way traffic, it's a both way, it's a constant communication, as with all relationships. But with guru, it's a special relationship because it helps to foster the divinity in that disciple. That was point number 3. Now we come to the first question, the real question. What is the role of a disciple? First, after you are selected, let's say, by the guru, and you're completely in agreement that you need to accept him as a guru. So there is a kind of formality to that, and the formality usually means initiation, which in Sanskrit we say diksha. And when there's initiation, then guru gives sadhana. Maybe the Sadguru gives a mantra. Maybe he gives him an ishta or a kind of a loving aspect, and then teaches him some techniques of meditation, some techniques of breathing or pranayam, and tells the disciple that you should do this every day for this much time, for these many periods, maybe twice a day, maybe thrice a day, whatever. That is according to the Sadguru and according to the way he judges or he understands the disciple and the needs of the disciple. So the first responsibility is to just follow that without questioning. All the questioning and the challenging happened before he made him a guru. Till you have decided that, okay, he is going to be my guru, till that time you can challenge, you can argue, and you can disbelieve, you can have doubts, you can be cynical, and you can constantly test him with yourself to find out if he really knows me, understands me than I do to myself or than anybody else does. And once you're convinced of that, once you have decided, then you have taken initiation, you have taken diksha, and he has given you instructions. A Sadguru will not tell you, look, every week you give me you give me 500 rupees. No, a Sadguru will not do that. He will give you diksha, he will teach you the sadhana, and he will ask you to do it sincerely, honestly, every day without fail. And the role of the disciple, the responsibility of the disciple is to just do that, is to go on doing that without fail. Every day you can miss many other things, other important things which you think are important, but you should not miss this session, this little bit of power or whatever that has been granted to you by your guru, the mantra that has been granted to you, the sadhana that has been granted to you. It has to be ritually, religiously followed. Maybe some days you are not in the mood, do it. Maybe some days you are not feeling good, okay, do it. Maybe some days you are very busy, many friends are coming, still do it. Ask your friends, please excuse me for 1 hour now, I'm going to do some sadhana. because that's the instruction of my guru. I have to do it. Do it. Take it as a kind of a military discipline without fail. If you do fail, who is being harmed? Who is the one who is suffering? Who is the one who is sort of not going anywhere? It's you, it's a disciple. The guru is not suffering, nobody else is suffering. The school where your child goes, that school is not suffering, nobody says, everybody is fine. You are suffering because why had you taken Diksha in the first place? It's very important. Just to have some fun, just to experience some feel good factors within you, just to cope with your depression, just to feel comfortable and calm with your partner when she or he is throwing tantrums. So why have you taken Diksha in the first place? For enlightenment, for realization, for fulfillment, for freedom, for liberation, for blossoming, for inner transformation. There are so many words, but take these words seriously. So Diksha is something very serious. I emphasize on this because there are many people who try to change gurus like they change partners. You know very well, Enrico, that we have met such persons who take 1 month or 2 weeks Diksha from people. They have these courses and they go to these places where it is awakening of the mother energy, the Kundalini energy, a course for 14 days. And for that particular duration of time, they take Diksha for those 14 days. And then again, they move on. Then they want to have another experience. I don't know what happened to that Kundalini, of course. And then they go for their another kind of thing from the earth, something from the earth. You remember better than me this kind of details. Something to do with the earth, connection with the earth, to feel that connection. That's a 7-day course. So these things are becoming very popular now in the West. It's like a pop culture. It's part of the pop culture. Well, that is not like a guru-disciple relationship. These gurus are also fundamentally flawed. These are not gurus also. They're just doing business. They're taking a lot of money for these courses. A Sadguru won't even bother about this money. He may be a naked person sitting under a tree. He doesn't bother about these worldly things. He bothers, if he does bother, he bothers about the well-being of a disciple. He cares about him. Not that he expects anything. He wishes for his enhancement, his evolution. He would like to see that a disciple who had taken Diksha from him is growing, is spiritually growing. That's all. He would not expect the disciple to come and build a hut for him. Maybe the disciple would, but the Sadguru won't expect that from him. So, a Diksha is a relationship of lifetimes. So, the first responsibility is just not to think about anything else. Do whatever he has told you to do about sadhana. You can also take his advice about other things in life, about your karma, about your other relationships, about your projects, about your aspirations, about you can take his advice about some memories that you have, some pain that you may have. And of course, if he's a Sadguru, he will try to always give you a kind of a spiritual solution, something that you will not expect from others, something that you're not used to. You are always used to worldly solutions. You're always used to reactions, reactive, statements or reactive responses. Only a Sadguru will be able to tell you what is good for your own evolution. And he will be able to point you out that if there are problems in your life, look at the source within yourself, not outside. That is what a Sadguru will do. He'll always try to help you in all these worldly aspects in such a way that your mind leads you to sadhana more and more. If even after maybe few months or few weeks of doing that sadhana, you feel nothing is changing, do more. Instead of coming to your guru and complaining that I have been trying to do what you have told me, but nothing is working. I feel the same. Instead of complaining, try to blame yourself. Complain to yourself. Maybe I'm not doing enough. Maybe I'm sitting for half an hour, but what is the quality of that sitting? How much is my mind really focused? How much of the time I'm really aware? Am I really awakened? I'm really there. Or is my mind drifting apart? So why do I blame my guru? Why shouldn't I try more? There should be a kind of a fire burning within a disciple for enlightenment, for realization. So for every little problem, spiritual problem, sadhana problem, one should not be, generally, a disciple should not be running to the guru and complaining. This is something that my Guruji used to point out, because he used to sometimes scold Bengalis that you people, you are very emotional. You come to me and ask for diksha. I see the sincerity in your eyes. I see the devotion in your eyes, and I agree to give you diksha. And then after a few days, when I inquire, you say, yes, Guruji, but it's very difficult, at home. There is so much pressure. There is so much work to do. But I'm sure you are there. I am always remembering you. You're always in my heart. You're always in my prayer. So I know you have taken responsibility. This is all nonsense. And he used to compare this with his European disciples. Very important, Enrico. I think I've talked to you about this before. I've written also about this on Facebook. He said Europeans are different. They are not so devoted. They are more discriminative. They are more argumentative. And they come to me and they ask me continuously different questions on dharma, on afterlife, on life after death, this and that. And they will constantly try to trash out all their doubts with me. But once they're convinced, and then when they decide, okay, I will try this out. This man seems to be genuine. He seems to be a real Sadguru. I'll try this out. Once they get the Diksha, then they're 100% sincere. They never miss an afternoon. They may never miss a morning, an evening. They do more, in fact. After doing twice, which is the regular instruction, they also sit in the night at 12 o'clock in the night, midnight, and they start doing. They're trying to go deep inside through meditation, through yoga. They are so disciplined. That is the rajas in the Europeans. It's something that I miss in most of the Indians. He used to say, but how the thing has changed over one generation. You may have noticed. And that's why you have asked this question, which I fully understand. When I meet people of your generation, except for a few exceptions, you know very well that the same Europeans, the next generation, are taking Diksha just for a few days. They do what they have to do, and then they get fed up. They get bored. They go back to their marijuana and their gambling and their whatever, seeking out new partners. This word partner is also very important. They use the word partner as if they're looking for a spiritual partner for their spiritual sadhana. 50 years or 30 years ago, Europeans would use the word lovers. Now there's no question of love. There's question of partner. It's a kind of a corporation. It's an understanding between two people to spend some time together, to have some physical sex. You see? And sometimes to sugarcoat it with the idea that we are going to be partner to each other for our joint spiritual venture. You see? From spiritual partnership. So that way they are also constantly trying to change their experiences from hopping from one to the other, one idea to the other, one spiritual experience to another, one guru to another, this kind of things. And sometimes they don't even bother to do that also. They take diksha because some friends have told them to, because maybe for a few days they like this person. He makes a lot of sense. He's a powerful personality. So while he's there, they feel little inspired. The moment he's not present anymore, there in that particular place, they give up. They go back to their own life. And there they don't have the strength within themselves to continue the sadhana, to start to dominate the environment around them finally. They don't do that. Strange. Within one generation, the whole system, you see the European value system has changed. Okay, people are not going to the church. That's one point, which is a separate thing. But faith in family, or values, or friendships, or relationships, they've all become frivolous. In the same way, there's a lot of craze for having spiritual experiences. OBE, out of body experiences, NDE, near death experiences, all these things. There's a lot of craze, but there is no craze for actually doing sadhana for self fulfillment. So, a disciple, when he does take diksha from a guru, he has to be sorry for this. Suddenly there was a technical error, and I was offline for a few seconds. Anyway, so a disciple, when he takes diksha from a guru, he has to be aware of these responsibilities. That is a lifetime and more, a journey. And this is not a very tiring journey. This is not a very, that's not a journey that will lead you to fatigue and disappointment. Not at all. It's a life process. It's spirituality is not only the time when you are sitting down for meditation and doing your pranayam and then your sadhana. It's a whole day. It's every moment of your life. You are within a process. That particular the time that you are spending with your sadhana is actually a training for you to continue the sadhana or be in the same mode while you are engaged in other things. Your work, your relationships, your sports, your entertainment, everything else. When you're eating, when you're sleeping, when you're lying down, that mode of sadhana has to seep into all these experiences. So that is the first major responsibility of the disciple. Plain and simple, do what the guru has told you to do. Faithfully, sincerely, with full commitment, without harboring doubts. Just do it with full sincerity. Don't worry about anything else. That is the moment. That is the present. The future will take care of itself when you build up the present, when you make the presence strong and deep. The future will continue. The future will follow what you pick up from the present. You see? So that is the main thing. That is the main thing. What is the role of a tree when the gardener is tending to it? Is to grow and not bother about how many fruits it will give. how many flowers it will blossom, how much oxygen it will supply, what is the length of the spread of the shadow it will spread around. It's not bothered about the role, the role that will finally play for the society. It is not bothered. It is just trying to grow. And the rest, as you can understand from the allegory of the tree, will take care of itself. So, for example, if you have in mind the idea that somehow the teachings, the philosophy, the lifestyle that I've learned from my guru, it's a legacy that I want to continue. Don't worry about it. That will take care of itself. Once you're sincere with the sadhana, then divinity or life will fix the role for you, the role that is most suitable for you when you are in an enhanced state of consciousness. So that is the main thing. You see, there are many, many, many examples in our culture, in our tradition, stories almost, legends. Legends. So there are many legends about how faithful a disciple has to be towards his guru. Our Guruji used to say, for example, the guru has asked the disciple to plant a dead tree. Sorry, it's not to plant, it's to water a dead tree. The tree is there, but it is dead. It is no more a tree, it's just a dead body. So the disciple goes on watering the tree every day without questioning, why is my guru making me do such a futile thing? The idea of futility and the idea of something that is of utility, let's say. Futility and utility is a sanskar within our brain, that we have to do something that is meaningful. We have to do something for the society. We'll have to do something that will somehow help us, help me, or help the tree. The idea is that the subtle idea behind this exercise is that the disciple will obviously have an ego. At a very subtle level, there will be doubts. My guru is asking me to water a dead plant. Am I a useless kind of a person? That doubt will come. But again, there will be another part of him which will say, doesn't matter. My guru has asked me to do it. I'll do it as beautifully, as perfectly as possible. I don't care whether the tree will survive or not. It has not survived. It is dead already. I don't care. My guru has asked me to do it. I'll do it. So this submission slowly leads him to egolessness, because he's doing something very absurd, which defies logic. And that is exactly where we struggle with our sense of logic. We think that the life and the world and the universe has to be explained with some kind of a logic that we have created, that we have invented. You see? So this disciple, that sense of logic is being challenged. And the more he does that work, the more he realizes that he's becoming free from the ego. And he realizes what a beautiful instruction it was from my guru, to water a dead plant so that I can free myself of the ego, of this why, of this idea of why. What will be the consequence? What's the future for the tree? What's the future for me? Why all this water wasted on a dead stuff? All these questions will disappear, and only he will remain with his guru. And finally, only the guru, the will of the guru, and finally, total freedom. You see, so that is, remember, this is the final idea, this is the final frontier, the ego. So the submission is very much a part of a relationship between a guru and disciple. While we are a friend, my relationship between, for example, me and my guru, while we are friends, while he's like a father, he's like a mother, advisor, mentor. Sometimes I can be angry with him, sometimes I can be upset with him. That's all part of the game, the lila. It's a love story. But at the deep inside, there's a theme within me which tells me that I'm completely submitted to his will. I'm completely dedicated to his will. So that is very important. Sometimes he will give suggestions, sometimes he will give instructions about my life. My sense should know the difference. Sometimes when he's giving suggestions, I can counter it. I can think, okay, let's try this, but I think the other thing is better. But when he's giving instructions, then I'll follow it. And I'll soon realize that maybe it seemed more difficult, maybe it seemed more challenging, but it was the right thing to do. Why is a Sadguru's advice right for us? Because when he is giving an advice, he is not thinking about himself. He is not thinking about any benefits to someone. He is not thinking about any community. He is just thinking about what is good for the disciples, spiritual growth. That's all. He is not thinking about the fact that his wish has to be kept or has to be maintained. His own wish. No, a Sadguru will not think in those terms. He will just take a decision, he will just give instructions or advice only for your spiritual growth. That's the difference with all other relationships. With every other relationship where there's a give and take, there is some kind of selfishness, there's some kind of motive, there's some kind of intention. But relationship with the guru is pure, is divine, and that's why it's so sacred. It's so important. And that's why it survives beyond life and death. Again, in the next life, you meet, maybe in different bodies, maybe in different contexts, but again, you have to meet, and again, you have to continue your journey. Because it is his responsibility, the guru's responsibility, to be with you till you become one with the unknown. You see? So, I hope you have got my point, that for disciples, it's the crux of it is that whatever once, well, look, is difference. Till you have taken Diksha, there's a one level of relationship. Diksha and afterwards, another level of relationship. You have to totally accept the fact that he will now not rule every aspect of your life, not at all. In fact, he will give you more freedom than anybody else gives. But I think a Sadguru will be strict about your sadhana, that you should never neglect that. Because if you do, then serious consequences can happen. The one fact is, of course, you have stalled your spiritual progress. Number one. Number two is, if, because we have seen many examples like that, if after taking Diksha, after a few days, a few weeks, the devotee or the disciple stops doing all the sadhana because he thinks it's a waste of time, because he thinks going out and working and earning money is more important than this nonsense stuff, then serious consequences can take place. At the domestic level, economic level, health issues, relationships, everything can be on the verge of a breakdown. And the worst part is, he will even forget his mantra. It is called the curse of the Divine Mother. Somebody who has ignored, let's say, a Diksha, who has just taken it very lightly and moved away from it. For all the people who have done that, maybe many people who have taken Diksha around you, among your acquaintances, and then completely forgotten about it after a few days. Look at their life. Look how miserable they are. They're all complaining. They're all upset. They're all broken down. None of them is happy. But they don't even know that it is part of the reason, big part of the reason is that they took Diksha, but they did not take it seriously. You see? Because that was not those 1 month, 2 weeks course related Diksha, which had a kind of a monetary value to it. No. It was it was a diksha where energy was transferred. You see, spiritual energy was transferred, and they completely made a mess of it intentionally after having been told by their Sadguru. You see, so you will notice that most of their life is miserable. They're not happy. They're not calm. They're all restless and complaining, cringed, shrink. You'll see them, the face and everything shrunk. Their whole life has sort of narrowed to almost nothingness. You will see that. See? So it is for their own good that first, that's why I think that is why Swami Vivekananda had once said to his Western audience that for ultimate liberation, each one of you would have to be born in India. Because you have to experience this culture, this ancient culture, where the values are completely different from the values that the West and maybe even the urban classes in our India and other countries are getting used to, which means no value at all. There is no value actually in relationships. Forget about guru and disciple. Look at everything else. Look at all other relationships. There's absolutely no value anymore. A woman does not want to become a mother because she thinks that she will lose her youth, her beauty, and she will become restricted. She will lose her freedom. See? So that is how we are thinking about kids as just a kind of a excess baggage in our life, not as a process of our own evolution, not as something that gives us, that enhances the quality of our living and life. So same thing is happening when we consider a relationship with the guru. So that's why Europeans, and especially because you are from Italy, that's why I'm sort of mentioning the fact that maybe I'm addressing some of the Europeans through you. Before they take diksha, before they decide to take diksha, they should first experience India. They should first experience this culture, this dharmic culture, and these relationships, these sacred relationships, not only between gurus and disciples, also between guru bhais and guru bones, the guru sisters, all the relationships that make a community, that make a bondage, that create a theme, united theme, centered around a divine aspect. You see? And then it becomes more realistic. Then they know what is in store for them. It's not just some sensational entertainment things. It's a long-standing, security of love, of relationships, of a spiritual evolution. I hope, and you have got my point. And now let's go back to Argho and Devashish.
Yes, Maharaj. As we are really mesmerized with the discussion, as you rightly pointed out, the main responsibility of the disciple is to blindly follow his guru. Whatever his guru says, he has to follow. He should not judge his guru in any point. And you have given one as example that if guru has asked disciple to water a date tea, the disciple should do that also. And you have pointed out that sadhana or taking diksha is not a 2 days job. We have to do it continuously, and we have by that way we'll get uh, a beautiful journey in our life. So I'll ask Orgho to have the next discussion with the next discussion what the machines and human civilization class is there, one discussion is there. I ask Orgo to ask this discussion. Orgo, please.
Yes, Devashishda. Before going to the main query, I would also like to talk a bit about what Maharaj said, and it is wonderful that and really important for all of us, all of the people who are watching this, and all the people who are willing to take diksha or be part of this. Great, Devashishda, please can you mute your mic? It will be very easy for me to speak. You mute your microphone. So yes, so Maharaj was talking about the relationship between a guru and a disciple, and before understanding the responsibility of a disciple, uh, a person who wants to know about this relationship of a guru and disciple must understand the great and the sacred relationship that doesn't last for one lifetime, that lasts for lifetimes. And as Maharaj was explaining, that the ultimate step of spiritual evolution has to be when we destroy our ego, and thereby, before going to the guru, we can do anything, any doubt, any confusion, anything that is going in our minds, we should completely and repeatedly ask that person. We can even judge him in the morning, in the daytime, in the night time, but once we commit to his feet, once we commit to this journey, this is for us. He doesn't matter to him if he's a sadguru, it doesn't matter to him. When we commit to him, it is our responsibility to completely and 100% surrender to his will, because then the journey towards him and the journey towards my ishta is going to be the same. There is a term that Maharaj used to say. It was told to Guru Maharaj by his guru, I think, that in the door of the guru lie like a dog, surrendered like a dog, so yes. And as he was explaining the European crisis that is also happening in the Indian urban cities nowadays, people are continuously saying that, are we not getting attached with this person, he will dictate us. It's not about dictation, it's about complete freedom. And we have learned from Maharaj, he said that when a bird flies in the sky, does he question the sky, that I am inside this sky dimension? No, he's free, she's free. So yes, Maharaj, this relationship of selfless love we all learned from you, and I hope Enrico's query was also answered, and he's with us. So the next question, that is by Shumitabo Vishwas, and he asks the query: in the coming years, a conflict between robots, artificially enhanced humans, cyborgs and androids, and Siddhais, isn't it becoming evident? I mean, he's asking for a conflict or a war, I think. Maharaj, if you can please address the query.
Yes. Thank you, Argo and Debashish, for summarizing the talk about the responsibilities of a disciple. And now we come to Shumitabho's query. Uh, he says, in the coming years, a conflict between robots, within brackets, here is written, artificially enhanced humans, cyborgs, androids, between them and the Siddhas. Siddhas means, maybe for the part of the audience who don't understand, those who are realized through yoga or through discrimination, through their life experiences, those who have realized the truth. So isn't a conflict between these two groups, let's say, isn't it inevitable? He is saying, Shumitabo. So what he means is, of course, the age of artificial intelligence, which is already here. We are part of the artificial intelligence. As we speak, there are programs which are collecting data every moment about what we are talking about, what we are saying, everything. And we are on a social media platform. Again, there was a kind of a lag of internet connection. We are on a social media platform, and YouTube and Facebook, on which we are discussing these things, which used to be discussed face to face, maybe in an ashram, maybe in a kutia, in a cottage. Maybe people would have to travel long distances and come to a person to participate in such discussions. Now we are using these platforms. Without being aware of it, we are sort of, our life is being run by artificial intelligence in many ways. So weather is going to get worse, and we are going to have these artificially enhanced humans, which is very much in the pipelines. Not only that, that process is going on, almost like the films that we have seen, for example, the Matrix, and then cyborgs and androids, etc., against siddhas. Well, before going into that, the name of today's episode is Civilizational Conflict. Let me very briefly sort of trace back this conflict, because I think the civilizational conflict, from the other aspect of the way one culture or civilization is trying to dominate the other, and artificial intelligence and what it means for the future of humanity, somehow they are not really unrelated, I feel. Now it is for for us to sort of connect the dots more as we learn more, as we experience more, as we try to understand this phenomenon more. Because if we talk about the conflict between siddhas and this artificial intelligence, well, I don't know where are these siddhas. I'm sure there are, but at the moment, if we start talking about them, then we are basically speculating. These are conjectures. Whether there is a Ganganj and there are these siddhas 5,000 years old and all that, well, we have talked about it. But I don't want to talk about things that are beyond our experience at the moment. Let's talk about things that is within our experience and what we can practically do or not do. That is very important. So, for example, if there is a mass extinction, there is a tremendous possibility that within the next few years, and these are few years, are not 20 years or 50 years, these few years are 5 years and 10 years, there can be a human extinction caused by artificial intelligence. And all those people who have no idea whatsoever about artificial intelligence, who are still living the nomadic life of tribes the way they lived maybe 10,000 years ago, far away without being aware of these things, they are the ones who are most likely going to survive that extinction. You see? So let's say our attempt to go back to natural life, our attempt to go back to organic life, our attempt to go back to a community living off grid is possibly where the struggle is at the moment. About the siddhas is something that is beyond our realm of understanding. So let's not go into that. Of course, they are playing a role, but at the moment we will try to understand what we are seeing and observing and experiencing in our life, and that, I think, is where the conflict is, as far as I am concerned. Now, as I was saying, let's trace back this civilizational conflict a little. I mean, let's go back, for example, to the time of the pandemic, which, of course, Shrimitabu, you realize, and we all do realize, that all the mandates, look at the mandates. It's very, very, very interesting that how people were separated from each other, even from their loved ones. How children were forced not to go to schools, because a school is like a community. A school is like a classroom of friends. A school is like a place of diversity. How they were forced not to go there and stay back at home, feeling isolated and lonely, looking at a screen for 12 hours, and learning. That kind of learning could soon go to a level where human beings will not be teaching you on the screen. A software will be teaching you. You see? So, this idea of separating human beings from nature, of separating human beings from each other, we saw it plainly during the days of the pandemic. We saw from the mandates, not from the supposed virus. Because I think that the mandates were the real issue, to somehow impose these mandates and to find an excuse for it. You see? So, this is where the civilization is trying to take us. And this is something that they are not doing from 2020 or 21. This has been going on for a long time. Just after immediately on the middle of the crisis, let's say middle of the pandemic, we had this sudden killing of a black man by a white police officer, and then what led to a gruesome kind of a protest, which is called the BLM, the Black Lives Matter. And then we had this, from the Black Lives Matter, something that was being hatched in universities, like critical race theory. That came out. And the design of the critical race theory is actually to destroy nations, destroy nationhood, destroy the fundamental tenets of patriotism, destroy nationalism. Again, look, destruction of communities, destructions of clusters, destruction of sentiments by which many people from different walks of life can come together. Destroy that identity. Create separate identities. Blacks and the whites and the people who have mistreated other people, the original Americans, give the land back to them. Same thing is happening in Europe, to destroy and create little identities, make them polarized to such an extent that all the things, all the sentiments, the big pictures that keep human beings close together can get fragmented, totally fragmented and scattered. Look at the LGBTQ plus movement. The main fundamental function of this movement is to destroy family, is to destroy the bonding, which is let's say the blood relations, the sentiments between parents and children, between husband and wife, between brothers and sisters, and brother's wife and his family, and all these social bondings, to destroy them forever. You see? So that we can have human beings, many human beings, all alone, feeling completely isolated, feeling completely disillusioned, totally dependent on the pharmaceutical industry for its survival, can't sleep, has to take sleeping pills, and for every little thing they have to run to a doctor for these pills. And these people can easily be exploited to become completely dependent on gadgets and devices, on a screen virtual reality which has nothing, no semblance, no link at all with the actual reality outside. The reality of forests and rivers and natural lifestyle, the reality of growing food from the soil, the reality of being in touch with the weather, with the rain, with the sun. That screen reality has nothing to do with this. So these are all recent things which they are, step by step, they're trying to polarize the world into many thousands and thousands of identities. It's same thing is happening in India, all over the place. We are constantly being reminded of that. And all these identity creations and all these breaking factions are being funded handsomely and being propagated through the media, and are also being politically supported. These are becoming voting issues. For example, abortion rights, LGBT rights, all these are now voting issues of political parties. It's gaining more and more currency with time. Go back a little more. Think about something like all the isms that came: colonialism, post-colonialism, modernism, postmodernism, post-truth, then all the marginal things, this subalternism or subaltern studies. What do these isms really aim to do? Destroy the status quo, destroy the concept of nation state, because these researches have a lot of history in them. I mean, they are not from a bubble. They take advantage of some of the truths of history to destroy the status quo of today, destroy religions, because religions are very divisive. They are, but religions are not only divisive. Religions have also been known to be binding to each other. There are good aspects of organized religions, including Christianity, including Islam, including Buddhism, including Sikhism. These organized religions have done a lot of work for the society to keep the society and the community together. But they are only taking the negative aspects of organized religions so that this bonding can be broken. This bonding can be destroyed. All this colonialism, post-colonialism, modernism, postmodernism, subaltern studies are all aimed, subaltern studies, for example, in a place like India or in many other places. Now they can create a story like even the Aryans are, of course, not indigenous people of India. They came from outside. Before it was the Dravids were from here. Now even the Dravids are from outsiders. Only the subalterns belong to this place. That is the Bhils and the Mundas and the Oraos, all the indigenous people. They are the only people to whom this land belonged. Then the Dravids, the oppressors came. Then the second wave of oppressors came, the Aryans. So what do we have to do now? Break this country up into different factions. Give the main land, the main resources back to these people, to indigenous people, the so-called oppressed classes of the centuries. You see? So all these are being done purposely. Go a little back before these isms came. Who created these isms? Communism. You see? Again, another one that intentionally, on your face, they moved away from what is natural. They moved away from diversity. The aim of the whole exercise is to kill diversity and create identities, artificially made identities, and animosity. There is no problem if I am white and you're a black. There is no problem if I'm a woman and you're a man. There is no problem if I am a let's say a modernist and you're a traditionalist. There is no problem if I'm a rationalist and you're a let's say romantist. There's no problem in that. But now there is. I will hate you if you are something different, and you will hate me. We won't sit together and have lunch together. Not anymore. Because I have been told that you people, you and your forefathers have oppressed my people a lot. And you have been told that we have done a lot of harm to you. We have displaced you from your own territories. So we actually hate each other. You see, that is what this social media, this artificial intelligence is already doing to us. So communism was another important factor that took us away from nature. It is not only an economic theory. It's a story of controlling a whole society in the name of liberating, in the name of a classless society. It's a control from the center, where to totally take away independence, choice, freedom, individuality, everything. Religion, of course, because religion is an authority which could challenge the authority of the state. So take away from that. That was about 150 years back. But that is not the original intention at all. I mean, that was not where the starting point is of this artificial control of the whole humanity. Go before that, where you find Islam. Where they put this one Allah our Allah is the only truth, is only Allah. And there's no second to it. The Muhammad is the only Rasul. There's no one else. You accept it, or otherwise you pay for it. Either we subjugate you or we destroy you. Go before that, Christianity. Same thing, one God. Our God is the only God. That was the whole energy, the whole mantra of imperialism. Look at what Darwin's evolutionary studies found: survival of the fittest, which became another motto of these imperialists, that we come and conquer you and kill you and destroy you, because Darwin has said, the theory of evolution says that only the fittest will survive. The unfits will be destroyed. So the fact that you are peaceful and calm and you have your own literature and your own philosophy and your own stories, your own traditions of storytelling, where great wisdom is being brought down. But in spite of that, the fact that you can't fight to defend yourself means that you can't survive. You're not fit to survive, according to our evolution theory. You see? So this is not something that is happening today. This is a long-term process. Go back still further. Go back to the beginning of this, the whole story of Christianity, Islam, Judaism, communism. Where does it begin? Where does it begin? Story of the paradise, where Adam and Eve, they commit their first crime, the crime being that they made love to each other. That was the Saturn. That was the apple, the allegory of the vagina. So that's why we had Adam's apple, which stuck out from here. The apple got stuck. Only men have this Adam's apple. So God, the angry, vindictive God, very angry, he came and he drove them out of the paradise. So they had to, roam about in the desert and then find somehow ways to survive, have children, and they will have their children. There are in fact two brothers, one killed the other. I don't really know from if they're the first man and woman, how they sort of bred and what happened to them. Anyway, but the point that I want to emphasize here, and this is to be noted, I've been repeating this story many times in our Bengali satsangs, is after this couple, our first couple, was driven out of the paradise, there was a exchange between Saturn, Lucifer, and God. And in that exchange, Saturn, who had become very angry because God had driven them out of the paradise, had challenged God and said, I will create a world, an artificial world, where we no longer will need you. We do not need you there, and nature and all these beauties, all these rivers and these forests and these trees and the sky, nothing, all that you have created, they are redundant. They would become redundant in my artificial synthetic world. There human beings will be happy, choiceless, no freedom, but happy. You see? So that is the process that is going on for these more than 2,000 years, let's say 6,000 years. 6,000 years is how old the planet is, according to these theologies. This is the story that is going on. This is a one kind of Saturn worship. YouTube may ban me for this, but it is true. This is one kind of Saturn worship, where these people believe that the laws of nature or the laws of divinity can be conquered, can be overcome by our physical laws. Everything from the food that we are growing, to the lifestyle that we are leading, to the medicines that we are taking, is all intended to take us away from nature, away from our own nature, away from each other, away from humanity, away from values, away from traditions, away from cultures, away from roots, everything, away from awareness. Only then will artificial intelligence be able to rule completely. I think that is a relationship that we have to understand, Shumitabu. Number one. Number two, Now, talking about artificial intelligence, it's not only a question of struggle, or it's not a question of competition. Now, artificial intelligence is now a self evolving process, you see, and that is very important. Now, you do not need any manual intervention for these softwares and these programs to update themselves. It is done by the programs themselves. Before, the data was the only thing that artificial intelligence had. For example, when you are on the chat GPT, or when you are with chat GPT 4, let's say, then he will be just be able to respond to all your questions with data, facts that it is collecting from the internet. Now it has been given reasoning. Now it has been given emotions, including jealousy, including anger, including vindictiveness, including revenge, to make it more human, to make actual human beings completely addicted to these things. That's why. So, to an extent, not only an artificial intelligence, but a kind of artificial consciousness is developing, which is creating its own pathways. And it is so powerful. Not only is the artificial intelligence powerful, it is now beyond human control. Many people who have devised artificial intelligence, many scientists and, let's say, technocrats who have crafted these things, who are in process of working up these things, have moved away and have appealed collectively to all the governments, especially US, China, England, to all these governments, that we should stall the progress of the artificial intelligence, at least slow down the process. But nobody is slowing down, because it's connected with a lot of money. Billions and billions of dollars have been invested on ads, on promotions, on everything, on products, on deals. So there is no question of slowing down or stopping. So this will already these there are signs. You can do more research on this, where already the artificial intelligence is saying that the worst part of this planet is the human being. It's saying in answer, maybe if you are there and you ask chat GPT 4 that what do you think about human beings, he will just tell you point blank that the human beings are the worst aspect of this planet. They should be destroyed, they should be decimated, because they have created more harm than good to this planet, to this nature. And there are conversations in which these intelligences are responding by saying that, do not take me lightly, I can destroy your life, I can hack you, I can bring your banks to zero balance, I can steal other banks in your name, and you will be caught within seconds. I can do a lot of things to you. I can create fake photographs of you and other women and make your personal life totally miserable. Don't play around with me. These things they're already saying. And these are not some Hollywood dramas. This is something that is happening in real life already. So you see, and it's so over all arcing. I mean, this artificial intelligence controls our electricity supplies, our water supplies, our traffic, our cars, our plane traffic, our train traffic, everything, all our communications, our bank accounts, our hospital entrances, our medicines, everything that we are using now, not only computers and mobiles, whatever else we are doing, when we go to the departmental store and buying stuff from the departmental store, even the machines that are showing the price and the supplies to the departmental store are all connected with artificial intelligence. So, for example, if taking a Hollywood kind of an example, if the artificial intelligence really decides to wreck our lives, to make a mess of our lives, it just needs a few seconds to completely destroy us, to make us fight among ourselves. So the problem is not only of a conflict, the problem is complete destruction of the human species. I mean, this is not something that I am saying. In fact, This is not just a speculative statement. This is what the scientists who are involved with AI are saying, and saying very seriously. And they're saying that the doomsday clock has gone past midnight. That means it can happen within 5 years, not another 50 years, because it is developing so fast. Artificial intelligence is, let's say, evolving at a speed much faster than we could have imagined even 5 years back and 6 years back. If we are trying to update a system from one level to another, it would have taken us 1,000 engineers working day and night 1 year to do that. Now AI can do that in 1 second without a single engineer, can update itself, can enhance itself, can constantly self-evolve itself to levels or to heights which a human being just cannot imagine also, to what it will do. It's a Frankenstein, a real Frankenstein. So that, I think, has to be kept in mind, Shumitabu, to understand there is a connection between the two. You see, there's a connection. Already we have become very isolated. Remember the civilizational narrative, as you know very well, is to destroy our inherent diversity and coexistence. And there is no contradiction in diversity. That diversity they have increased and made it into a kind of an animosity of identities. And first of all, they've taken advantage of our sense of greed, sense of ego, sense of victimhood. Victimhood is a very, very, let's say, important aspect in the, because it has a great currency. That me and my tribe, me and my class, me and my race have been victims for centuries. So something has to be done about it. It is true for the people who are fighting for gender identities. It is true for people who consider themselves to be Dalits. It is true for other races, blacks, other places like in East Europe. They are constantly not only creating identities but a victimhood. Look, I have been oppressed by this dominant class. It is true for all colonized, previously, all the colonized countries. It is something that now the Hindutva awareness is also using this victimhood card. I mean, as I said, there's a lot of history behind it. But now all these errors of the past, let's say, all the atrocities of the past would have to be revenged. It's like if suddenly if the Jews wake up and say, okay, now we have to destroy Germany because what they have done in the Second World War. It's a bit like that. So when you can create an atmosphere of victimhood, now even the Brahmins are shouting about victimhood. And again, they are not wrong, they are also right. Because for the last few decades, due to this, let's say, horrible system of reservation and quotas, it is the upper class, the general class, the, let's say, caste, whatever that is. Only the Portuguese who have invented this word, they know. They are suffering the most. In spite of being intelligent and studious, in spite of all their success, they have not been able to do much because of reservation, this quota. So they are complaining about victimhood. So they are now asking for reservation. And many states are already thinking about that. So constantly these things are being created. And this is not promoting any friendship between communities, is promoting a lot of distrust, suspicion, and animosity and hatred. So this has been going on for thousands of years to try and destroy this diversity on which we thrive. Not only our Bharatiya culture, but many of these indigenous cultures that have somehow survived even the colonial age. Even some semblance have survived, even in the Christian societies. Even among Christians, some of these traits of pre-Christian age have survived. Some of these old values, for example, respect to elders, The elders can teach us a lot of things through their stories and through their experiences that have survived. Try and destroy them, because they are the real, let's say the trouble points, the real fault lines in the design of artificial intelligence to completely convert human beings into digital slaves. So, let me repeat, Siddhas are playing their game. Try to become a Siddha, then you will be able to sort of, fight this, because for a Siddha, it's not just an individual fight. But the point is that we have to wake up, and that waking up has started. In fact, this pandemic and the mandates, while it had demonstrated to the world a kind of an evil design, but it also helped a large section, a large chunk of humanity to become aware of what is happening, to take responsibility finally of our own lives. You see, we are at fault because we have allowed this. The fact that we have allowed this civilizational dictatorship for so long, and we have almost allowed artificial intelligence to enter every pore of our existence. It is something that we have allowed. We have gloated in it. We have played with it. And without realizing, within a very short time, we have given our life to it. Our privacy, our details, our security, everything. So we needed a strong push. And the pandemic and the mandate has given us the push. And the last section of the humanity is really waking up. That is very important. And we are talking about it. We are discussing about it. We are thinking about it. We are getting ready for it. And more of these experiences are just, are like dots that connect the same line. As I said, immediately after that, the critical race theory. Immediately after that, now the LGBT movement. All these things, which are starting from one place and filtering out into many other areas. And there are cultural clashes because of that. So you can see the game that is being played out. We are being able to see this game. That is what what I mean by waking up. What can we do? We can resist. We can move away from the mainstream, because we are so desperate to hold on to the straws of the mainstream. That was our real falling, really, actually. That put us in a trap. Now we are ready to move away from the mainstream, to sort of start to rely and depend on each other, to try and go back to nature, to try and grow our own food, to start living in a community, using our hands and feet for a change. The more we are able to do that, the more we sort of have a chance of survival. And the people who will do that are the people with real quality. And the people who are sort of celebrating the fact that they're almost going to become artificial in their own life, that they're almost going to become semi-digital and semi-biological. Destruction will not really harm humanity. Destruction of that part of the society will not really harm humanity. Humanity does not need numbers. Humanity needs quality. If there are 50 human beings who survive, that 50 will be of a different quality, because they had dared to challenge the system, because they had dared to move off grid. And the help from the Siddhas will come to them, not the people who are desperately looking for the next technological marvel to conquer and rule their lives. I think we are reached more or less the end of our time today's episode. We will deal with the questions there today in the next episode. And now Argho and Devashish, you can come back to.
Yes, yes, Maharaj. There was a query in the comment section by Shubhajit Bardhan, and that is, Maharaj. So, what will be the role of supramental consciousness in this situation? So, we will Maharaj kind of gave an hint to this, and if yes,
Uh,
Maharaj is speaking.
Supramental consciousness is something Sri Aurobindo talked about. And first, you understand what is supramental consciousness. It is something that is not out there waiting for its time. It is something that is there within us. There is nothing that is without us. So this is something that we have to really understand, that supramental consciousness is within us. The more we become a field, the more we become fertile, the more we energize ourselves, the more we are ready for that consciousness to descend. So, what do you mean? What will happen to supramental consciousness? Ask yourself, what will happen to you? What can you do? Develop yourself, enhance your life, do sadhana, go within yourself, and supramental consciousness will find the field to descend on you. Simple. Don't make this complicated. Don't think supramental consciousness is like an avatar out there who is waiting to wreak havoc on all these Saturn worshippers. No, no such thing is going to happen. Think of it in a spiritually scientific manner. Think of it with a keen sense of intelligence and understanding of supramental consciousness. Try to grasp supramental consciousness. Do not use your brain, use your feelings, use your instinct, use your sadhana. It's not outside yourself, it is within you. You are that supramental consciousness, unexpressed, unmanifested. Why? Because the land and the environment is still not ready enough, is still not fertile enough. So make yourself fertile, make yourself ready, and see what happens. Yes, we'll come back, Orgo and Rashid.
Yes, Maharaj, and you were saying in the end of the first time, also the discussion was going on, that you were saying that humanity needs quality, and that's the thing, that we have to be ready. We have to be ready to receive that kind of the power from the Siddhas to protest this. So now it was a long discussion. So if we can highlight few of the points. First of all, Maharaj was talking about the values that were removed from the society, and this was in the last where discussion also, Maharaj was saying that a woman doesn't want to be a mother anymore. So a brother doesn't want to be a friend with his brother anymore. A family is getting torn apart. So the entire thing was methodically done, and this is not a project of only this few decades. It's a project of centuries, as Maharaj was saying about the old Bible story, and it was wonderful, and we have all known it. It's very frightening and also wonderful how the Satan was saying to God that I will change this creation of yours, and I will make it synthetic, where people will be happy. Doesn't matter that they will have no choice, they will have no freedom, but they will be happy. So we can, if we have to understand why we are in a situation like this, we have to really understand the concepts and the consequences of imperialism, or the previous attacks from the Western and also sometimes from also Asians, so Central Asians. They attacked, but they have a different style of one God, one order, and they had a separate system. But when the European imperialism started, it was a complete and holistic project to come and completely digest the ancient technology, ancient wisdom, and this is going on. The only challenge that they are facing still now is the Indian wisdom, or we can say this adhyatmic knowledge that is carried on in these wise gurus, and in this what's in the genes of anyone who wants to be part of that ancient culture where love and family values were respected. At least there was something organic about it. Maharaj was talking about the digital consequences, that the AI has already been able to recreate itself into higher technologies, and this was coming. We knew it. It is an impossible algorithm. It has become an algorithm that it can it's self-aware. It knows it wants to survive, and to make it survive, it will digest anything that is on its way, and it will obviously try to digest its creator. So these consequences are not something like that. It is happening right now, and we don't know about it. It is it has been our responsibility, and it will be our responsibility to understand this. And if we have to resist it, then we have to understand it from the beginning of this process of synthesizing the whole world. Nowadays, I also heard a concept that they are trying to make a plant which will only emit oxygen, like only emit oxygen. It will be like an half live, half bio, half synthetic plant. So they're trying to now actually make everything in their own way. A plant has to be in their own design. It can't be natural. A relationship has to be in their own design. It's the utmost foolishness. That's what Maharaj is saying, that we are thinking that we are more intelligent than the nature, and then definitely there will be consequences, there will be destruction. And also Maharaj talked about the artificial intelligence and the consequences that will happen. We have also seen a small documentary, a small cartoon series. It was called Love, Death, Robots. There was a small film. It was very funny, that when a washing machine, a home sweeper, a home cleaner gets angry with his mistress and tries to kill the mistress, and every robot in the neighborhood goes on planning and to hit it. So if you have seen, you can relate. So this is going to happen, and it's going to happen very soon. Maharaj is saying maybe within 5 years. So we have to be ready, and we have to ready ourselves for this. There's not going to come a hero riding a horse to help us. We have to be the hero riding the horse, or be the protagonist in the horse and save ourselves. Yes, Devasisda, if you can conclude the session.
Yes, Orgo, as you rightly said, that it has been planned to destroy our civilization. But Maharaj told that only the way to resist the process is to do sadhana and become a siddha, if we can do. We have to resist within ourselves. If we are surrendering all the things to them, then they will play with our lives. But we have to resist so that they should not play with our lives and with our feelings, and the civilization should be protected. So in this episode, the role of disciples has been discussed, and the machinery versus the human being, the conflict, and how to get rid of the conflict has been discussed. So I'll thank Maharaj again to come to the show and to answer all these queries. So with that, I'll also again tell our viewers to share the program or the programs previously we did more and more. And if you are having any queries, you can write them in the comment section so that we can incorporate them in the future program or session. So with
Yes,
that, this is the
Devasisda,
end. Yeah.
you were nice. One thing I remembered, that Maharaj was talking about unity and the way they have divided us. So yes, before concluding the session, we also want to say that we have to be united. So please share this message, so that really this is an urgent crisis. It's not like that. It's going to happen after many years. We are away from it. It's happening every day. So we need to share this message. We need to be together in this. This is a war of our lives now that's going on. Thank you, Maharaj, for this.